Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to round one of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship in association with the Scottish Motor Trade Association, Torque Raceware, Yokohama Tyres, and On the Limit Racing. My name is David Christie, and for the first time, I am joined by none other than the man, the legend that is not Cormac Patterson, but it is, in fact, Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, thank you very much for joining us on the series. Welcome along. How are you, good sir?
Thank you very much. A very good evening to all those SMRC fans out there. Looking to be a fantastic opening round here in Okayama. Really pleased to be on board for the full iRacing campaign. I mean, just looking at the calendar we've got, wow is all I can say.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be a huge season ahead. Of course, we have got a number of races coming up. And what stands out for? In fact, actually, before I go there, let's actually take you through what we've got. We've got round one tonight, which is the Okayama double 30. So that's a series of two 30-minute races. Then we have the Spa double 30, which is obviously going to be another two 30-minute races. And then we come on to the Silverstone. We have a single 60-minute race at Silverstone using the Grand Prix circuit. That is going to be a very tasty encounter indeed. Race 4, round 4 is going to be Road Atlanta double 30, and then Donington Park, one of my personal favourite tracks, is going to be another double 30 race. We do Interlagos in Brazil, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache is the Grand Prix circuit. Apologies, Alex, I know you are amazingly good at your pronunciation. I am absolutely terrible.
You actually did pretty well on that one, but shall I take the next one? I mean,
yes, go for it.
Round 7 we have the double 30 at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. And then, I think, round 8 and the final cliffhanger for when we decide the inaugural SMRC eSports iRacing Championship champion is the mountain, Mount Panorama in Bathurst, for a single 60. That is one heck of a calendar. I mean, all those tracks just scream volumes, and with the machinery we've got the Porsche Cayman 718 GT4 Club Sport MR, and we've also got the brand new to iRacing M4 GT4 from BMW. So yeah, there's I mean, I've been swatting up on my statistics. As you very well know, I have been doing quite a lot of preparation ahead of this campaign. Yeah, well, that's our job, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't really sort of go into it half-baked, really. You've got to go in there. You've got to go in there full throttle, flat out, go hard or go home, as Matthias Ekstrom would once say when he was rally crossing. And he does do, I think, still on his rally days these days, as Sweden had a knockout rally which was quite recently won by Oliver Solberg, of all people. But yeah, really, some really great competitors. 36 entries, a fantastic circuit to start things off. Very tight and technical here at Okayama, but the one car that is really the majority of the grid here is comprising 70% of the entries is the Porsche, and we've got 25 Porsches and 11 BMWs on the grid.
Well, I think with that, Alex, thank you very much for those statistics. Without further ado, I think it is time to go trackside, because we've got just 2 minutes left in the practice session, and it looks like it is Fraser Williamson that is topping the timing screens at the moment with that 1:35.350. Now, that is typically what we've been seeing, the fastest pace of the practice sessions, even through last night as well. A lot of the cars into the 1:35s. But what strikes me as well, Alex, is, I know you've got the live timing up on your screen as well, is if we go all the way down to the bottom there of Cameron Ritchie, that is at 1:40, so that is just a couple of seconds off, but the majority of the field within between 1 and 3 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at the top 25, I mean, that's nearly 2.2 seconds apart. And that's pretty competitive when the majority of the drivers will have had a bit of practicing on this over the last few days, getting ready. Obviously, there are those that have decided to go for the BMW instead of the Porsche. And I've been looking at certain statistics, and there's a deficit to the tune of nearly 4.5% in the weight of the BMW because it's heavier, and it's also got just a fraction amount more power. It's got about 430 brake horsepower, depending on BOP. but obviously we're running to no ballast, 100% power. We're running to specific amounts of fuel, which for the BMWs will be 56.3 litres. The Porsches have an advantage. I mean, per tonne, the BMW's running at about 308 brake horsepower per tonne, and the Porsche's running at 322 brake horsepower per tonne. So the Porsche's got the edge, and especially around a tight and twisty circuit like this, you really need the grunt to come out of the corners.
You certainly do, and the big difference, obviously, myself and you, Alex, we're kind of spoiled by the GT3 action that we're looking forward to in other championships. These GT4 cars are a very different breed altogether. They take a lot more patience, they take a lot more forethought and a lot more planning when it comes to getting the most out of the corner speeds, and momentum is such a huge factor in these GT4 cars, isn't it?
Very much the case, because these cars are very much heavily production based. So that's where the correlation to seeing an M4 on the road and you can actually go and buy one and race it. And it uses the same 2.8 litre inline 6 M twin power twin turbo setup with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. And it's the same with the Porsche. You know, the Porsche's always been renowned for that flat 6 boxer engine, which in this case in the Porsche is a 3.8 litre, naturally aspirated, I think, if memory serves me correctly, and it's got the iconic PDK gearbox that Porsche have been renowned for. Yeah,
it really has set them apart in the recent years. A very good evening on the chat on YouTube to Edward Porter. Thank you very much for joining us. Edward is a regular fan and watches all of the broadcasts that we do. But just to remind you why we are here tonight then, round 1 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Championship kicks off tonight. We are at Okayama International Circuit in Japan. It is the full course that we are doing tonight. Track conditions, as you can see, pretty much perfect. 28 degrees Celsius is the track temperature, 59% humidity, partly cloudy, and just a very, very slight breeze. That is all we've got, and we are about to go into qualifying very, very shortly. So all of the drivers are on a private qualifying session, which means that their times will come up very, very soon. And while we wait for that, Alex, what is it for you about the Okayama circuit that really stands out?
Well, I mean, the names of the corners, for one. You know, you've got the likes of Williams, obviously Williams Formula 1, the Moss S's. I couldn't think of nobody else apart from the late, great Sir Sterling Moss. At Woodcurve, you've got Redman and Hobbs. Obviously Brian Redman and Mr. Hobbs of NBC fame, having worked alongside the likes of Will Buxton, but was a very good racer in his time. But also the classic nature of this track. It's very tight. It's very technical. There's a great back straight going from outward curve to the hairpin at turn 5, where you can really go side by side. But the characteristic of this track is you try and go in a small single-seater, but you go in a GT4 car, it's a completely different proposition. And going through the Moss S's, if you try and put it too wide, someone's going to be spat out the other side, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many twists and turns on this circuit. It really is an iconic track. And if you're wondering why we've moved to the local screen for just now, it's because it is a private session. We don't see the cars going round, but we will pick them up when they go back onto the grid just now. But the cool thing about it as well at Okayama is not just the actual corners themselves, but it's one of those tracks that I find is very much a driver's track, Alex. It's fast, it's flowing. There's some very, very good amounts of time to be gained if you can learn the track and learn where you can cut the course and where you can just push that little bit over the edges. But it's also, especially in these GT4 cars, very easy to get it wrong, especially at turn 1 and some of the other corners throughout. We've got the hairpin towards, I think it's around about turn 6 or turn 7. I'll go and bring up the circuit map shortly, but yeah, some real headline shenanigans, I think is the word that I was trying to use for tonight. I think we're going to see some real close racing, and not only that, you know, we forget as well, these guys are going to be fighting against 36 other or 35 other drivers tonight.
That's very much the case. I mean, especially when both these cars, okay, the Porsche has got a bit more weight around the rear end. Obviously, it's bigger hits, but also the engine is built into the back of the vehicle. It's a custom stable of Porsche, obviously from the times as its genesis, because obviously it's the cousin of the VW Beetle. So the drivers that will have the rear end traction will be fine. But then you look at the dynamics of the BMW, a very different proposition. It's front engine, the gearbox is just behind the engine, and obviously going to the rear. So the rear could get light, and if they try and put the power down through the corners, that will spoil up the rear tyres, break the traction, and that could catch someone unawares. I mean, we were having a look in the brief practice session a little bit early before we came on air that some drivers were finding it a bit difficult through the twisty stuff, especially through the Moss S's. So yeah, anything's possible. Motorsport is completely unpredictable, as always.
It absolutely is. So, we are just 5 minutes away from the finish of qualifying. We can give you a rundown of the times just now. And in fact, I've figured out the problem as to why we can't see the cars on the minute, so I'll have to very quickly nip off and do a quick technical pause for that. But at the moment then, it is Jack Eyre in pole position with a 1:35.78 from Ronald Grossman at 1:35.92. Lewis Ward in third place at the moment, 1:36.02. David Simon with a 1:36.19. In fact, Alex, why don't I go and fix that just now, and you can have a look at the live time and take our viewers through the rest of the order so far.
Will do, David. Well, we've had 28 drivers already qualify or put down their banker laps, and when the top 26 are split by just 3.5 seconds, so Jack Eyre, Ronald Grossman, Lewis Ward, David Simon, Sam Corson, they're split by just half a second. Peter Butcher, Martin Buchan, Adam Brown, Sam Spinell and Tom Jones, they round out the top 10. And thank you very much, Edward, for the great welcome there. Andrew Hopley, Michael Weddle, Gary Brown, Sam Harper and Chris Knox round out the top 15, as we've now got 29 drivers who've just been had Grant Angus just set a lap time. Cameron Ritchie's gone into 28th. So very interesting so far. We're getting through the session quite quickly, but Jack Eyre looks to be setting the pace in the 15-minute qualification session. Some tidbits, a bit more, obviously, for those that were wondering. I'll keep you updated with the times as they go, as Blair McConaughey is up into P24 at the moment, just behind Neil Ferrier with Ian Erasmus and the 808 in 22nd. The Okayama International Circuit has hosted the likes of, well, continues to host the likes of the Super Taikyu Endurance Championship, Super GT, which is DTM's Japanese cousin. It's also hosted the WTCC, and then also hosted the Pacific Grand Prix as well. You never know, Edward, if I manage to get up to Scotland and come to Knockhill, I will definitely make sure that I have that opportunity well and truly required. But it's a very interesting track here. I mean, 2.3 miles, 3.7 kilometers approximately, 13 turns. But yeah, I mean, to think that the car that actually holds the lap record around this is the Benetton B194 from Michael Schumacher himself. So yeah, pretty interesting. Jack Eyre, Fraser Williamson, in the meantime, in the 369, has just gone up into provisional pole. As we've gone past the halfway stage, we're down to 8 minutes gone, 7 to go. So it's Williamson, as now Logan Hanna, Cameron Ritchie, and Jacqueline Chalmers join the party here in qualification.
Yeah, and unfortunately I'm going to have to come clean. It's a bit of a rookie mistake, really. I joined the session instead of spectating, so that's why everything's blank, because it thinks I'm away to go and do the qualifying as well. It doesn't show me the other driver. Yeah. So we'll rectify that as soon as qualifying is over. There is not too much longer to go. 1 minute 30 left. Sorry, no, there is actually. There's another 6.5 minutes left to go. Excuse me. I'm so used to having 10-minute qualifying sessions. With the difference between that being an extra 5 minutes, how much do you think that plays into it, Alex? Do you think that drivers actually do tactics? They'll maybe have a look at the timing, as we see Jordan Gronkowski actually jumping up to pole position there, 1:35.65. How much do you think that adds to it, the tactics of actually getting a decent lap in, and the competition aspect of it?
Very interesting. I mean, it is part of the dynamics of qualification as Fraser Williamson retakes provisional pole with a 1 minute 35.48. The track will rubber in, it will evolve as the drivers make their way around the circuit. So let's look at it this way. If you go on an outlap, let's say you take about 2 minutes to do so, approximately 1 minute 50 to 2 minutes. And then you start really ramping up the wick, going through the final corner to start your first flying lap. So you've possibly got a window of maybe 1 to 2 flying laps that you can really, really push forward. The first lap will be given that indication of how much on the level of adhesion you're on, but then the second lap will be that carrier of momentum, because you've already done that first lap, and if you've made a mistake, you know where you've gone wrong, where you need to adjust. And the drivers might also be doing a couple of tweaks to the setup as well during qualifying, because they might think, well, hang on, I've lost a 10th in Sector 1, where am I losing it? And they'll sort of like mitigate it a little bit as well.
Another thing to remember as well that we haven't talked about is that it's or if you have already, I do apologise, open setups, Alex. So that has a big impact on these cars. So each driver is free to develop their own setup based on their driving style, on how they feel about the car, and it does make a massive difference. So I've made a very rudimentary set up for my Porsche Cayman GT4 on my very brief outings in it, and it's terrible. It's absolutely woeful, because it feels great for about 3 laps, and then the tyres start to warm up, and the mannerisms, the characteristics of the car completely change on this circuit, and it's very prone to oversteer. And I saw quite a few cars oversteering and having moments through the corners during practice, and I think that might be rearing its head again tonight.
That's very much the case, especially when you're looking at the likes of Logan Hanna, Cameron Ritchie, Jeff Wentworth, who are down at the bottom of the timesheets. I mean, we've got 35 drivers that have made a qualifying effort. So yeah, the drivers will have those moments where they'll just think, oh, that was not meant to go that way, because they'll push. And, every single racing driver in this competition that's entered it wants to win. And someone wants to strike first in the first 30-minute race we've got coming up in around about 3.5 minutes or so time. But yeah, that can play a lot on a driver's mind. It can knock the confidence, even in the sim racing world. But the difference with the sim racing world and the real racing world, as you and I both know, is that you can hit the escape function, or the control out delete, reset yourself into the pits, repair the damage, and go out and give it another try. And if they say, if you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on, Alex. The wonderful thing and the wonderful advantage of sim racing is that you do have that luxury of being able to hit escape and go to the pits. However, in a race, you don't have that luxury. So with iRacing, for example, there is a penalty associated with hitting escape and going back to the pits in form of a time penalty, which kind of simulates the amount of time it takes you to get recovered and brought back to the pits. So if you do see anybody magically jumping up into first place, it may just be that they've hit the old escape button and will fall back down. But let's have a look back to the timing then, because we've only got just 2 minutes left to go in qualifying. It's still Fraser Williamson at the top there with a 1:35.48 from John Gronkowski. John Gronkowski is, I thought he was very consistent, but it was a 1:35.65 on his best lap, and it was actually a 1:37.67 that he did on his last one, so he's kind of fallen off the pace. But Jack Hare and Ronald Grossman in 3rd and 4th respectively, they did their best laps on that last lap round there. So I think now it's come down to crunch time. Everyone is going to have to play the ace card, really pull out the best lap that they've got for this qualifying session, because with 36 cars, Alex, the other thing as well is that the importance of qualifying is massive here, because there's almost inevitably going to be some rubbing, some bumping on these first couple of laps as the cars get themselves stretched out, and you want to be in that group with top 10.
Oh, you definitely do. I mean, look at where Sam Spinell, Michael Weddle are all at the moment. They're 6th and 9th respectively. Sam and Michael have done their best lap times pretty much through the session. I mean, you look at the times, it's been close between Sam Spinell and David Simon. They've said exactly the same lap time, but Spinell did it first, so he gets the benefit of the doubt. The same with Weddle and Rory Bryant in the 37, who rounds out the top 10. But yeah, if you're in the mid-pack, it is a case of survival of the fittest. And we both know that if you are in the mid-pack, if something happens, you've got to do something. You either have to bear the brunt of it, if you're the one that's getting the receiving end of the action, or if you're able to avoid in time. Yeah. And it's all about cat-like reflexes. We're now coming into the last 25 seconds of qualifying. And Edward Porter has made up a very good point. We'll come to the points in just a second, as we're coming into the last 15 seconds of qualifying, as it looks like we've got 35 registered lap times. So far. Very quickly, the ones towards the end that you mentioned there, Grant Angus, Jacqueline Chalmers, Logan Hanna, Jeff Wentworth and Cameron Ritchie, they are, apart from, Jeff Wentworth, they're all rookies. They are all brand new to iRacing, so they've likely just bought this for the championship. But there we go, qualifying is over. We are gridding, so let's have a look at the grids for our first race then. It was indeed Fraser Williamson that's on pole position from John Gronkowski. Row 2 is Jack Eyre and Ronald Grossman. Lewis Ward and Sam Spinell make row 3. And then in 7th place is David Simon with Sam Corson beside. Michael Weddle in 9th place with Rory Bryant beside him. It's Tom Jones and Vic Covey alongside there, 11th and 12th. We will move further down. Martin Buchan and Peter Butcher are 13th and 14th. We've got Adam Brown and Sam Harper in 15th and 16th. Gary Brown and Andrew Hopley in 17th and 18th. John Lang and Anil Singh in 19th and 20th. Alex, do you want to take us through the final 16, please? Yep, Peter Moore in 21st. Alongside him will be the 40 of Chris Knox. Then it's Stephen Graham in the 44 and Kieran Smart in the number 39. That rounds out row number 12. Then it's Ian Erasmus from Mist Apex Racing Team. The 808, he's on 25th alongside his Raymond Davies with Scott Smith, Blair McConaughey, Neil Ferrier, Mark Cuthbert, Grant Angus, Jacqueline Chalmers, Logan Hanna, Cameron Ritchie, Jeff Wentworth and Sean Doby, rounding out the 36 strong here at Okayama. So there we go, the cars are on the grid and we have got ourselves a full lineup of cars ready to go. Alex, I am excited. Are you? You don't need to tell me twice or even ask me that. But based on firstly coming on to the points, very good point by Edward Porter. The top 5. So Fraser Williamson is the one that leads the championship with 5 points to his credit ahead of Gronkowski, Eyre, Grossman and Ward. They each pick up 5 to 1 points depending on the fastest 5 drivers in each qualifying session. A win in each of the double 30 races bags you 35 points. Yep, so we're just waiting for the safety car to make its way around the circuit. And away we go then. So we are on our pace lap here with the Porsches. And for tonight, for this first race, we're just going to try it out with 20 cars being viewable at one time, just to make sure that the stream is able to cope with it. If it does work well, we will bump that up into race number 2. So, wow, lots to talk about so far. Jordan Gronkowski, I know, has been putting in an inordinate amount of time in practice. Alex, that car and livery looking wonderful. But it looks like we are ready to go racing. The pace car pulls off. It's a very short pace lap, starts from halfway round. Let's go, Alex, because we are about to go racing. It's under to Fraser Williamson to get things started off. Red lights on the gantry, and do we go lights out? We do, and Williamson gets a really good jump start on everybody else. Gronkowski in second, but it looks like Williamson has got a bit of a jump on the rest of the field as it's 2x2 coming through the first corner. That's exactly what it's called here at Okayama as the field starts making its way through the Moss S's. But Williamson has got at least, I think, a second gap already, and we're not even up into Atwood Curve yet, which Williamson now hits the apex on. Now he's going to go onto the long back straightaway. And this is where we could see, David, that we're going to have 2, maybe 3 abreast at points down the circuit.
Yeah, and have a look at the top left there. It is absolutely dominated by Porsches in the top 20. We only have 2 BMWs, and that goes back to that point that you were making earlier on, Alex, about the Porsches absolutely having the upper hand in this championship. So we'll see how the BMWs fare with Adam Brown and Sam Harper. But look at the gaps just now, almost a second, as you pointed out, over Jack Hare in second place. Now, what happened to Jordan Gronkowski down there in 5th place? He's just been shuffled back further down the order, and it's all been incredibly well mannered. It's all been incredibly good spirited so far, Alex.
Yeah, looks like David Simon's had a massive moment and he's dropped down the order all the way down to 17th.
In fact, David Simon, it looks to have in fact, there he is. Yep, we've got a car pointing the wrong way there, as we see Andrew Hopley down into 15th place. And this is really difficult for the drivers on this first lap, because everybody is hustling and bustling and jostling for position, and you want to get this out the way. You want to get into this rhythm. It's a long race, it's a 30-minute race, and you don't want to be making stupid mistakes this early on.
Definitely not. There's a great battle for 13th between Andrew Hopley in the 36 and John Lang from the Mist Apex Racing team in the Porsche Cayman, coming through the first corner. And Andrew is the second BMW in this field, highest places. Adam Brown is really making some moves. Tom Jones looks to have dropped a few places, and he's slowed a little bit there, the Rethink Racing driver. Yeah,
let's watch him. Yeah, he is definitely trying to recover back there. And who is that is moving up very, very quickly there? That is David Simon, who just scythes his way past Tom Jones, as we see Jack Hare having a bit of a moment. Managed to recover to that gap now, just 1.1 seconds. It was up to 1.3, your race leader at that point, but it comes down very, very slightly indeed.
Yeah, for those wondering about whether there's a second qualification for the second of the 30-minute races here at Okayama, we only have a 10-minute warm-up, so it's one qualification session per race evening. Just for those wanting to find out. So the drivers will line up in a grid order, whether it's the results of race 1, I think, David, or whether it's from the original qualification order from qualifying. I've been trying to keep my eyes on the rules and regulations, but sometimes when you have about 12 to 13 pieces of paper in front of you, it's quite difficult to keep up at times.
Yeah, absolutely is, and that's something that we can digest afterwards on there. Now, I do see that is that Rory Bryant that is out of the race. He's showing us out of the race, but we'll find out in just a second. In fact, no, it isn't. It's because we've only got the 20 cars viewable at a time, so we'll update that very, very shortly, so we can keep an eye on that. But Fraser Williamson it's still in the lead of the race. I had a little bit of a glitch on the timing system, so for some reason it was showing him down in 17th place, but rest assured he is still in the lead of this race, 1.5 seconds ahead of Jack Hare. So this is what I was saying about the rest of the groups all starting to spread out and get themselves all sorted.
Yeah, and Il Singh's got up into 20th position. I mean, obviously, for those wondering about the timing, it does fluctuate on a regular basis. And I've had this experience with other iRacing broadcasts I've been involved with at the moment. But it's going to chop and change a little bit. It looks like Fraser Williams showing us out, but sometimes it can be down to their internet connection. Sometimes, if they're out, it can be down to a disconnect from the server itself whilst they've been competing. Obviously, with everyone's internet being stretched to the absolute maximum, including us here in the broadcast channel, it's very much the case here as well. As there is the number 38 of the Mist Apex Racing team, that's Anil Singh.
Making his way around just now, and some fantastic battling going on ahead for 19th position. That is Stephen Graham and Ian Erasmus from South Africa, making his way round and starting to stretch out now, because he's starting to catch up with David Simon there. So yeah, interesting to see how that's going to develop, because of course stamina is going to play a big part in this, and concentration, keeping those pace levels up for a full 30 minutes.
Very much the case, because these drivers will have to run race simulations, so they'll be practicing in a private server, just trying to keep themselves. Yeah, because it's not just about the physical side of it, it's also about the mental side of it, how you approach a race. How do you cope with making a mistake that was either not your fault or somebody else's? Do you get aggressive and put your elbows out, or do you actually keep a bit of a calm sort of stance towards it, let the red mist sort of disperse a little bit, and go from there. But I've just been keeping an eye that Jack Eyre is closing a little bit on Fraser Williamson for the lead. He was about half a tenth of a second quicker. Lewis Ward not too far adrift either. But Williamson starting to really make some headway in the 369 at the moment as we go on board with Jack Eyre, trying to chase Williamson down. Gap's now down to a second, David. It's looking pretty interesting at the front.
Now, this is exactly what I was saying. That it's very strange how these cars develop after about 2 to 3 laps, because the dynamic, the handling of the car changes massively, and it could be that Jack Eyre is starting to settle into his rhythm with this one. I mean, we're only 6.5 minutes into heat number 1, which would make sense because there's a huge moment. Jack Eyre loses it on the start-finish straight. That's exactly the point I was making. The car's dynamics change quite dramatically, and it caught out by that snap oversteer with the Porsche. He managed to keep it going and only drops down to 5th place. A very, very lucky boy, but I wonder if he's got damage on that car.
Well, it looks like the front end's taken a little bit of a battering there, so it might be superficial. But let's not forget, David, that one of the biggest differences about the Porsche is that the radiator is right behind the front bumper. And if you cause too much damage, even in a simulated race like we are having here at the moment in eSports, that can cause major problems. That's Andrew Hopley from Meraki Racing. Lovely looking livery on that BMW M4 GT4 there.
I was just looking at the picture. I thought that was an awesome little picture there. But
I know, the 2 thumbs up. That was brilliant.
Let's have a look further down then, because in 20th place we have got David Simon, and he is just ahead of Grant Angus there. Peter Moore in 22nd place. Blair McConaughey, we were wondering what had happened to him. He is down in 23rd place, and we'll move down to Cameron Ritchie in 24th. 25th at the moment is Logan Hanna. Let's go and have a look at Logan. She is just ahead of Blair McConaughey. So she's moved up quite considerably as the times all sort themselves out. But again, we've got a long way to go, so we've got plenty of time to settle the dust and let these guys and girls get themselves all into this race. Now, Fraser Williamson, that gap now looks to be what, 3.5 seconds?
More like four. More like four, to be honest with you. But
bad.
Then it wasn't a bad guess there. Lewis Ward is having to battle tooth and nail with Ronald Grossman in the number 90, so that's a really good battle that's coming to fruition here. But if they keep on battling, Gronkowski's going to catch them, as will Jack Eyre. But then looking at the bottom of the top 15, you're looking at Sam Corson, Michael Weddle, Adam Brown, Vic Covey, Andrew Hopley, Gary Brown, John Lang, Sam Spinell down in 13th, having started 7 places further up the field in P6. And then you've got Kieran Smart, who's made up 10 places from P24 to P14 ahead of Chris Knox, and then Sam Harper. Or it looks like Jacqueline Chalmers has jumped up into the top 16.
We'll have a little look at that. We'll find Jacqueline. Unfortunately, no, that's the timing is going a little bit crazy on this first race, but Jacqueline Chalmers, 26th place, again brand new to iRacing, bought it specifically for this championship, and what a performance we're seeing from Scott Smith, who is an employee of Not Kill, believe it or not. We raced together in the SMRC Autumn eSports Championship last year, and Scott Smith, one of the few in the BMWs. No surprise really to see that the BMWs towards the back of the grid there.
Well, I think the BMWs will start coming alive. I think this is a new product to iRacing, and for those wondering how they got these cars absolutely pixel perfect, was the iRacing headquarters in the US actually went over to Turner Motorsport, who are a BMW customer team who are running the M4 GT4 over in the Pirelli World Challenge, and they actually scanned the car from the rubber on the tyre right to the roof line. And the rear spoiler on the back. So an absolutely brilliant job for iRacing to bring this new GT4 car, which was actually voted the race car of the year in 2018 in its debut. And drivers that have raced in it will include the likes of W Series racer Bite Skivissa, who is a BMW Junior, and finished second to Jamie Chadwick in the inaugural W Series season last year at the Brands Hatch finale. So the car has got credence, it's got pace. I think Daniel Harper is one of the new BMW Junior Motorsport drivers. He'll be racing in one of those this year. So it's a good product that iRacing have brought to this, and also for us at the SMRC to embrace it.
Yeah, and I think that we'll very shortly be seeing an update, shall we say, to the BMW in terms of BOP, possibly a banter performance issue for that to be resolved, and that will bring it 100% back up. So those that have chosen the BMW might be in the pound seats later on in the season.
Yeah, and also we're going to go to some tracks where the strength of the BMW in terms of its straight line speed will be quite impressive. I mean, the Porsche's an all-rounder. You know, these cars have been driven around the Nordschleife until they've literally imploded. That's what these cars are built for. They're meant to have a lot of strength, resilience, and also durability. But also one of the biggest things is the driver's got to have mechanical sympathy towards the car on how it handles. Just sort of, you know, treat it like the other person in the relationship. And that's what Fraser Williamson is doing absolutely perfectly right now. 5.2 seconds ahead of Lewis Ward, who is being literally swarmed all over the back of by Ronald Korsman in the battle for second place. So I think Williamson's doing a great job. I love the sort of the dark black livery with the huge chrome pink accents on the bonnet, the headlights, and also the door and the quarter panels.
Now, I saw a thread in the SMRC eSports Discord channel, and I think from the looks, I think Ronald Grossman has painted a lot of these paint schemes. So a very, very talented sim racer, and also very talented designer from the looks of it. But back to that means that there we go, battle for second place there, hotting up very nicely indeed. Lewis Ward now having to fight off Ronald Grossman for that second place, and we're coming up to the halfway point of the race, 12.5 minutes. Look at Jordan Gronkowski. Now Jordan Gronkowski, I think he dropped away back to about 6th place after the first couple of laps there. He's fought himself all the way back up into 4th place, and you wouldn't put him off getting himself onto the podium, especially with this battle heating up right now between these two.
Definitely the case, because he's got the ringside seat. So if Korsman forces Ward into a mistake, or the pair of them make a mistake together, there goes Korsman towards side by side with Lewis Ward. He's going to have the inside run into the first corner. I think he's got the drag ahead. He is now ahead across the timing line and makes the position stick. So nice work by Korsman in the number 90. But Ward quickly on the counter offensive, just trying to make sure that he can pressurise Korsman into some kind of error. But as you said, Korsman, a very talented sim racer in his own right. But Gronkowski has got the ringside seat, and if these two tangle, he's going to be grinning more than the Cheshire Cat. Yeah,
that's exactly the point. And some wonderful battles developing all through the field here. So we see the battle between Lewis Ward and Ronald Grossman. Jordan Gronkowski looking very menacing, but look at that, Lewis Ward looking to the outside, and I don't think anything is going to come of this unless he's going to be super late on the brakes. He's going to be around the outside. Can he make it stick? Not a chance. Never going to happen, because Ronald Grossman's simply going to cut that off. It's a left-hander here, and it's as you were for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and this battle in between them is going to distract him, which is meaning that Jordan Gronkowski is going to come into play. Meanwhile, further down, it looks like Jack Eyre has come into more misery, because he has now fallen to the clutches of Michael Weddle in 6th place. So he was up at one point in 2nd place, and he's fallen all the way down in towards 7th, behind Michael Weddle, behind Sam Corson, behind Jordan Gronkowski. So things are going from bad to worse. Adam Brown is behind Jack Eyre, but about 6 seconds behind him at the moment. So not too much to worry about, but this is looking very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, quite a few battles happening up and down the order. I mean, John Lang and Sam Spinell battling over 12th position. As well, Rory Bryant's trying to close up to Stephen Graham for 17th. Question from Edward Porter on YouTube. Alex, I've got a question. What's your local racetrack? There's 2 local to me, and it's as far south in comparison to where David is located at the moment. Snetterton and Brands Hatch, so I'm in the southeast.
Just a little bit further south than me. I would
Exactly.
But there we go. An important milestone has been reached. Then we are halfway through this first heat of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship, and this has definitely been a very, very different affair. We've touted this championship as being, this is the one for the grown-ups, this is the serious stuff, this is the one that everybody puts a lot of effort to, and my goodness me, have they not absolutely kept to their word tonight. This has been thrilling stuff here tonight, Alex.
Very much the case, because as they say, when it comes to a championship title assault, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And with the format that we've got over the 8 rounds here on the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship, as you can just see, the amount of commitment by Vic Covey in the number 7, chasing down Adam Brown, and Covey runs 2 wheels onto the grass there a little bit on the right-hand side in the Porsche, chasing down Adam Brown, who is the leading BMW out of 11 out of the 11 BMWs that should be still circulating. I think Raymond Davies is the first one to no longer take any further part in it. There's 3 cars in the pit: Tom Jones, Neil Ferrier and Raymond Davies, and Raymond Davies has just exited the pit, so what will happen is that they'll have some sort of penalty for repairing damage, as there's Davies in the number 28 with the fantastic Scottish soul tyre on the roof of that Porsche Cayman.
Now, what he's doing here is he's got his nearby box up. So on iRacing, you can bring up a box that brings out the times of the cars around you. Very, very sensible thing. So what he's doing is waiting for a gap in the traffic and bring himself out onto the track. That's very, very good sportsmanship there from Raymond Davis, and we love to see it.
Yeah, very much the case, because any sort of infraction will be frowned upon by our race steward.
Now, I just, sorry to jump in there, Alex, just caught that out the corner of my eye. What a battle we've got going for 11th, 12th and 13th here between Gary Brown, John Lang and Sam Spinell. You mentioned Sam Spinell fighting out earlier, but it looks to be John Lang who's really want to mix things up right now, and this is a wonderful example of some of the battles that we see throughout the rest of the field here, and throughout the course of the season we'll try and do our best to get all the way down for not just about the leaders but the mid-pack and the rear-end battles as well. But what a wonderful little train we've got going on here.
Yeah, Lang looking to size up Brown for a move up the inside, going through what I think was Williams there as they go. Well, I think that was not Williams, my apologies there, but it's onto the back straight they go. And Lang has got the toe at the minute. But yeah, it's been quite interesting. I mean, Hopley is leading this train as they come around the final corner. The Lang's got the slipstream on Brown. Spinell, if he gets close enough, will have a double toe, but he's not quite close enough yet. Lang's going to try and use the momentum that he's going to carry. He's going to go for the move. He's gone for it. This is very close. It's side by side, both giving each other room to get through the first corner and then to head into the left at Williams. But Brown still has the advantage. And look at Spinell, quite close up on the back bumper of Lang there.
This is what I love about proper championship racing and sim racing. You don't get any of this on public server racing. It's very much every man for himself, but on this it's very, very respectful, everybody allowing room, and part of that as well is because we've got a full complaints procedure going on. We have got stewards at the ready to watch over the replays, to hand out post-race penalties, and I've heard that it is going to be quite strict this season for the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. Just to remind you where we are as we come towards 11 minutes left to go in heat number 1. It is still Fraser Williamson up in the lead of this race, quite commandingly, 6.6 seconds ahead of second place of Ronald Grossman from Lewis Ward in third place, who is 0.6 of a second behind them, involved in a battle ahead of Jordan Gronkowski, although that gap has now started to spread out a little bit and most of the cars leaving to each other. Sam Corson is in 5th place with Michael Weddle in 6th, Jack Hare is in 7th place, and Adam Brown rounds out the top 10. So Vic Covey trying to get that 9th place away there. And yeah, this is going to be fascinating to see how this is all going to unfold in the final 10 minutes. Do you think, Alex, the drivers are going to be happy where they are? Are they going to try and force the issue here, or is it just a case of making a good effort for the start of race 2?
I think it's about preservation. because this is the first race of the campaign, David. So I would be of the ilk of, okay, if there's a chance that I could get a position or two, I might chance it, but not force the issue. You want to make sure that you race clean, hard, but fair. And if you put two wheels on the grass and it's a mistake of your own, off your own back because you've been pushing too hard, well, so be it. But I think really, the last 10 minutes, if you're into a rhythm, you're going to stick with that rhythm and keep going until the end and think, okay, where can I improve next time? And then they have another 30 minutes to have another opportunity to get themselves up the order.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. So we saw Sam Spinell was up for that fight for 11th, 12th and 13th. He's now dropped down into 15th place there. So we've obviously missed some sort of a moment for Sam Spinell. That battle still rages on with Andrew Hopley, Gary Brown and John Lang in the mix as well. So a cracking little battle for the top 10 there. Don't worry, by the graphic at the top left you see that Fraser Williamson is out. I can assure you he is still very much in the lead of this race, and it's still quite a commanding gap that he has over second place, 7.4 seconds. In fact, that gap, Alex, between Ronald Grossman in second place and Lewis Ward now just 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, also dropped Jordan Gronkowski in the process, and then you've got a further nearly 6 seconds back to Sam Coulson running out the top five. I mean, Michael Weddle has been doing a really good job. Grant Angus up from what is we are seeing random fluctuations in the timing here on iRacing, so bear with us. I mean, Grant Angus, I think, has made the most positional gains out of anybody. He's up from P31 to P10. Well, that's changed quickly again, so bear with us. Just bear with us. We'll make sure that all the results that are provisional pending any sporting and judicial matters post-race will be fully outlined by myself and David. But yeah, I think it's just the way that Williamson has just approached it, and he's just gone in and gone, oh, Weddle's just been tagged. That's Weddle that's just been tagged.
Now, who was that behind him? Was that Jack Hare that was involved in that one? I think it might have been. Certainly Jack Hare is the first to benefit from that. In fact, no, it wasn't. Who was that right behind him then? So we'll have a look. Was that one? Surely that wasn't one of the back markers.
It possibly might have been.
I'm not too sure. That's you hate to see that. A lot of the back markers have been very, very respectful. We see one going in towards the pit lane just now, and that is such a shame for Michael Weddle. He will not be happy with that one. 7 minutes left to go in this first heat, and what a race we've had. This has been absolutely fantastic. This has completely exceeded the expectations that I had for this race, so this is awesome stuff. Fraser Williamson still in the lead from Ronald Grossman, Lewis Ward in third place, John Gronkowski in fourth, Sam Corson is up into fifth place, I believe. We'll have a look there. He's the driver that was going into the pits, David, was Blair McConaughey in the 34, and that was the car that was involved. We saw him spinning in free practice earlier, and we didn't like to see that. Now, let's have a look here, because here we go. This is a cracking battle for second place in. Ronald Grossman and Lewis Ward side by side as they come towards the back half of the circuit. Just 4 or 5 more corners left to go in this lap, and it looks like Lewis Ward has outdone Ronald Grossman to take second place, and this is not over. Again, this brings in Jordan Gronkowski into the mix. Fascinating battle we've got going on for the podium. And this is letting Fraser Williamson just streak off into the sunset. 9 seconds of a gap that he's got there. And Ronald Grossman, you've got to say, Alex, he had all that pace to get past Lewis Ward, and he's kind of been caught sleeping here.
Well, I think it's not the fact that he's probably just been caught napping. I think it's the fact that Lewis Ward has had his number. When you look at the best lap times, Lewis Ward is actually more than a tenth and a half quicker than Ronald Grossman on the last lap alone. I mean, Lewis Ward has just put in a 1:37.97, Grossman a 1:38.6. So, and then you look at how consistently Fraser Williamson has been going. His best lap of 1 minute 35.83. His last lap, 1 minute 36.9. He has got that car hooked up. Seriously, has got that hooked up.
He certainly does. So, brilliant battle going on right now, and you've got to say it's definitely not over. 5 minutes left to go in this first heat of the season, and this is getting spicy already. What a performance from Fraser Williamson. He's made it look so easy right now, but all eyes and attention right now on Lewis Ward, on Ronald Grossman. Let's actually go on board with Jordan Gronkowski, and let's see his view from this battle, because that looks to me like it is a back marker that is right in front of them, and they're going to be...
Yeah, I think
that's
that's a
Jacqueline
BMW up
Chalmers?
ahead. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's a BMW, or is that Logan Hanna? That's Logan Hanna. He's just got past. So Logan Hanna was the back marker there. Gronkowski, you can just see how much closer he is as they go through Redmond and into the right at Hobbs before they go down the slight incline as we go onto the bumper cam here through Mike Knight corner, and that's actually what it's called. Which is the penultimate corner, then through last corner, the final corner on the track here, and Gronkowski putting the power down in the Porsche, trying to close on Grossman. Yeah, that's Logan Hanna just behind in the deep purple BMW M4.
Yep, so she is currently in 18th place, so the leaders have lapped up to 17th or 18th place already, so wow, that is a performance and a half from these this leading group to already be so far up the order there. That is quite awesome to see. Brilliant little battle going on further down the field here for 22nd and 23rd position. This is Peter Moore trying to hold off against Peter Butcher right now. They are just 0.3 of a second splitting those two up, as we see Peter Butcher going very wide at I think that is the third to last corner right now, and the pair of them really struggling. These Porsches are so easy to oversteer if you are not patient, and we've got a car diving up the inside. Peter Butcher tries to make the move, but it isn't going to stick. That 22nd place looks to be safe right now with Peter Moore. Let's have a look at some of the other battles going on up the field. Oh, now this is a wonderful one. Rory Bryant and Vic Covey duking it out. Two of the members of staff at the SMRC, and it's great to see them racers in their own right, and they are absolutely loving it. They've tried to say that they're not taking it too seriously. It's just an enjoyable bit of fun. I guarantee you there is going to be some crowing rights over how this performance goes down. So Rory Bryant currently getting the better of Vic Covey, with Sam Spinell looking to try and take advantage of that as well. And can you believe we've almost passed 30 minutes already, Alex?
Yeah, but look out for the guy that finished third in the 2017 British Rental Kart Championship, Sam Spinell, all over the back bumper there of Vic Covey. So Spinell not letting go without a fight, and he's gone left rear wheel on the grass heading into Mike Knight corner. So 2 minutes to go left. Now, the funny thing is that I've seen that Fraser Williamson has dropped down the order. No, he's got back up.
I think that's it's because of the amount of cars that I've got on. I think whenever we get outside a certain distance, they appear as... I was getting excited there and then realised that was a back marker. I have a funny feeling that was Ian Erasmus that they were going past there, and that is because it was. Yep. Look at that. That's only because of the South African flag on his roof. Yeah, just spot that mile off.
I mean, the thing is you can also see with the damage models here on iRacing that some of the cars are struggling with rear end traction, because even though they've got the slightest of rear wings on these cars, they have a distinct advantage. And when we saw the battling a little bit earlier on with John Lang, I think in the not John Lang, but one of the other cars, one of the other Porsches, that was also missing its rear wing. As we will now go on to the final lap here with just under a minute on the clock to go, as Williamson will cross the line here at Okayama International.
What a race we've had.
9 seconds ahead of Lewis Ward. 9.1 seconds and climbing.
Absolutely stunning performance from Fraser Williamson. As you said, 9 seconds ahead of Lewis Ward in second place. Ronald Grossman currently in third with Jordan Gronkowski. Was hotly behind, now has dropped off 2 seconds behind that battle. We've then got Chris Knox up into... let's have a look there. Sorry, that is... as the timing screens go absolutely crazy. Sam Corson it is that's in 5th place, with Jack here in 6th. We've then got Michael Weddle in 7th place, and Andrew Hopley holding on against Gary Brown for 9th place. Let's have a look here. Oh, the contact! The two of them have taken each other out. That was Gary Brown with an over-exuberant move on the inside there, and that is going to cost him dearly. That's going to move him down, 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 and that is going to allow that battle for Rory Bryant and Vic Covey with Kieran Smart and Sam Harper, as we see a BMW going wide onto the grass. And I'm doing my best not to get distracted from the fact the leader is going to be coming across the line now, but battles all the way through the field. What a brilliant, brilliant opening heat we have had here in iRacing. But let's have a look back to your race leader then, Fraser Williamson, who's made it look so easy. Round the second to last corner. It's going to be round the final corner. And a wonderful, wonderful performance. Fraser Williamson is going to come across the line to win heat number 1 of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. Lewis Ward is going to pick up second place with Ronald Grossman in third. It's going to be Jordan Gronkowski in fourth place. And then in fifth place is going to be Sam Corson, just coming across the line here. Jack Hare is going to take P number 6. Michael Weddle, a brilliant performance for him despite what we saw earlier on, is in P7. P8 is going to be Andrew Hopley. John Lang in 9th place, just holding on ahead of Sam Harper and Kieran Smart there. Brilliant battle for them. Just a second and a half splitting up 4 cars there. They're going to come across the line just now. Rounding out your top 10 is going to be Sam Harper, and then Kieran Smart in 11th place. Rory Bryant in 12th. Vic Covey in 13th, and that is going to be a discussion, Alex, over the water cooler. I can absolutely promise you that one.
Oh,
yeah, that happened. That happened, didn't it? Come on, boys. Come on, boys.
But really, I mean, to be honest with you, you've got so many different teams. You've got Rethink Racing. I mean, Missed Apex Racing team having a couple of cars in the top 10, 11.
Yeah.
You know, that's really good to see that some drivers, but, you know, standout performance from Fraser Williamson in the 369, and he is actually a privateer. He now leads the standings on 40 points, having secured pole position in qualifying and also taking the race win, which nets him 35 points. So what a way for Fraser Williamson to start the iRacing summer campaign here on the SMRC.
It certainly is a way to open your account then. So let's keep going through the order then. Sam Spinell finishes in 15th, Chris Knox in 16th, Logan Hanna in 17th, Jeff Wentworth in 18th, David Simon in 19th, Fraser Williamson in 20th place there. We will bring the results, in fact, just now from heat number 1, if we possibly can. There we go. I was worried that wasn't going to work, but it's the one thing that did work tonight. Right, so there we go. That is Sam Spinell 15th, Chris Knox in 16th, Adam Brown in 17th, Martin Buchan in 18th place. Alex, I'll let you do the rest of the order.
So from 19th to 36th position, well, I missed out.
We'll go back 19th. One. Hang on, there you go.
We'll go back one. David Simon and Stephen Graham in the 18 and 44 round out the top 20. Ahead of Grant Angus, Anil Singh, Peter Butcher, Peter Moore and Scott Smith rounding out the top 25 with the 36 strong rounded out by Sean Dobie, Mark Cuthbert, Ian Erasmus, Jacqueline Chalmers, Logan Hanna. Great to see 2 women in the top 30. Cameron Ritchie, Blair McConaughey, Jeff Wentworth, Tom Jones, Raymond Davies and Neil Ferrier rounding out the 36, obviously with Neil retiring after 11 laps down off of the leader.
Yep, you hate to say it, but what we will do then, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to take a very, very short break. When we come back, we will have more action from heat number 2 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Championship. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming back for heat number 2 of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship. We've made a few tweaks. So, Alex, that was a bit awesome, wasn't it?
Not off. What a way to start the season. What a way to start the season. But yeah, I mean, straight away, you can't say anything but kudos to Fraser Williamson. Just how he dominated proceedings. But yeah, we had some really great battles up and down the order. And I'm looking forward to more of the same in our second 30-minute race of round 1 here at Okayama. I mean, it's been fantastic conditions for all the drivers. Obviously, yeah, it's a little bit cloudy, but sometimes that can help a little bit. Yeah, so fingers crossed we have such a corker in this one as we have done in the first 30-minute race today.
So the one thing that we do have to speak about is, of course, the decision, the massively important decision, Alex, that we've got to take later on, which is the torque driver of the day. Now that is going to be our decision, up to me and you, and we're going to award that based on who we think has had the standout performance of the day. Now, obviously, our eyes have been focused on Fraser Williamson, but there was some cracking battles through the field there, and you know, Vic Covey and Rory Bryant having that ding dong battle after the finish line. That deserves some points as well.
Well, I think not for necessarily style points, but how to take out your buddy right after the finish line. That's the perfect example. But I think some other people, like say John Lang. John Lang is one of the standouts for me from Missed Apex. Done a really, really good job and finished P9 in the first race.
Certainly is. So there we go then. This is round 1. This is going to be race number 2 for round 1. It's going to be Sam Spinell on pole position from Gary Brown, Vic Covey in 3rd place, Rory Brown in 4th, Kieran Smart in 5th place, and Sam Harper in 6th. 7th place is going to be John Lang, Andrew Hopley in 8th place, Michael Weddle in 9th place, 10th place for Jack Eyre, and then Sam Corson and John Gronkowski 11th and 12th place. Let's have a look. We are getting ready to go, I believe. I think that's us anyway, good to go.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for a couple more cars. Blair McConaughey and Jacqueline Chalmers coming on. So Grossman, Ward, Williamson, Knox, Brown, Buchan, Simon and Graham ran out the top 20, followed by Angus, Singh, Butcher and Moore. That's the top 12 rows. And then we get to the bottom end of the grid. I'll take this through quickly. So it's Scott Smith, Sean Dobie, Mark Cuthbert, Ian Erasmus, Jacqueline Chalmers, Logan Hanna, Cameron Ritchie, Blair McConaughey, Jeff Wentworth, Tom Jones, Raymond Davies and Neil Ferrier. I've been used to that with all my experience in the world of karting over in Europe, David.
You could absolutely tell that one, could you? Right, so here we go. We are getting ready. The pace car pulls the cars around. It's going to be another 30-minute race here. And thankfully, our timing screen looks like it's behaving itself. So we will soon see. Jacqueline Chalmers looks like she has missed the start of the race. She's showing as in pit lane. So we'll see whether or not she takes to the start of this race. But here we go then with another 30-minute race, and the cars look awesome as they pile over the start-finish line. Oh my goodness me, Alex! Oh, and there's contact already.
Weddle's nearly in the wall there. That was absolute carnage. Absolute carnage in the mid-pack there, heading in towards turn 1. There is going to be so much spite and vitriol in the Discord chat. I bet you that much.
Oh, you hate to say it, do you? Of all the people for that to happen, what is going on? Like, I was expecting this from the Xbox, but this is not what you want to see. Right, we're going to distract ourselves by. Help me, Alex. I'm really struggling to keep the composure here.
The thing is now that effectively the car that is leading the way is the 97 of Rethink Racing, Sam Spinell, who funny enough has dual nationality. He's got English and Belgian nationality. The Belgian side comes from his father's side, and just behind looks to be Vic Covey, Kieran Smart, Rory Bryant, Sam Corson and Andrew Hopley. You're obviously Chris Knox, Logan Hanna and Raymond Davies apparently are in the pits. Looks like I think Gronkowski or Korsman have had a bit of a moment. But look at the gap that Spinell's starting to pull out on Covey.
Yeah.
And we are waiting So looks like there's been more moments for Waddell and also a few others.
Oh, he is
and there
having
he
a
is, the man
bad
himself.
time. Really struggling to get going. I wonder if there's severe damage on that car, Alex. He is really struggling. Into the wall. That is going to be his race over. Michael Weddle is going to have to retire. There's no way, surely, he can limp that thing home to the pit lane. And I daren't go on board with him, because that Rethink Racing Porsche is going to be all kinds of blue in that cockpit right now.
Well, the car's actually tracking to the right. The car was actually steering to the right at no fault of Michael's. So the right front suspension, I think, is askew. The rear wing's fallen off after that contact with the wall just then. So Michael Weddle now having to park, unfortunately, the Rethink Racing Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. So that's his race done. There's Jordan Gronkowski, who's got Juan Korsman up his back bumper. Great battle between Hopley and Air up ahead, and Air's got through on the BMW onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, Jack Air looks to have the pace right now, but hopefully he's going to tuck in for some tow as we cut to Sean Dobie, and a cracking four-way battle. This is for the mid-pack. This is for 20th and 22nd there, so we'll go back to them in just a second. But Jordan Gronkowski now trying to get onto the back of Air there just now. What a brilliant start we've had. Granted, we've had an absolute melee, but a lot of the cars have recovered and got themselves going well and truly. So great little train we've got here, led by Sam Corson, Jack Air, Andrew Hopley, Jordan Gronkowski, Ronald Grossman in that, and Adam Brown also up into the mix with that group.
Yeah, two BMWs battling with three Porsches. This is going to be a sight that we're going to see over the course of the next 7 rounds. The next one will be in 2 weeks' time at Spa-Francorchamps.
And huge news is Fraser Williamson, your race leader, your race winner from Heat 1, has had a disastrous start to this race. He's all the way down into P29. We saw him falling down the order there, Alex, and that is an absolute disaster. Looks like it was John Lang that he had some contact with.
Oh, look at that car that's crabbing. That is going absolutely nowhere from Williamson. That is absolutely crabbing towards the left-hand side. That car is going to be an absolute pig. He's going to try and turn right, and the car will want to steer left.
Sean Dobie also having a big moment, crashing into the wall. He's going to have to go into pit lane. He misses the entry for pit lane and instead tries to keep going. Instead, again, looks to be some severe damage on that car. So some big moments, and this is absolutely the opposite of what we saw in race 1, Alex.
Well, I think it means, first of all, that Fraser Williamson has got a chance of losing his championship lead after just the very first race. Coming into this, he was head and shoulders ahead of the field. You know, a full maximum Grand Chelem as pole position, and also the fact that I think he got the fastest lap of the race and also took the victory quite convincingly by over 9 seconds. But now the battle is on. There is Blair McConaughey, who's also been in the trenches all the way through this evening's proceedings in the 34 Porsche.
Yeah, big moment for Blair there, so we'll try and keep an eye on what is happening throughout. It looks like we can give you a proper idea now of the action on the track just now. 4.5 minutes left to go. We see that Grant Angus is in a big battle. So from what we can see here, there is a massive battle down there from 26th, 27th. We've also got 28th and 29th there, and a great move up the inside there from was that Tom Jones up the inside there of Grant Angus, or the other way about? We'll find out in just a second, but it was Tom Jones up the inside there of Grant Angus, and a fantastic move there. So again, this just goes to show that no matter where you are on the grid, there is always some action that is kicking about on here. Let's have a look at this battle, because we saw Jordan Gronkowski trying to catch down Andrew Hopley. This is for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, and it's great to see that Jordan leading the charge from Ronald Grossman as well. And again, we didn't really see this in race 1, Alex, where you've got these groups of 4, 5, 6 cars leading each other through, and they're seeming happy to follow each other round.
Well, I mean, we're only nearly 6 minutes completed of this 30-minute encounter as, again, Grossman on the back bumper of Gronkowski as Hopley puts the right rear wheel into the...
I'm going to jump
gravel.
in a second there because Sam Spinell is out of the race. Sam Spinell has crashed and handed the lead to Vic Covey. We just saw it coming up on the race control there. Sam Spinell crashed. I think it was turn 4 that he's done there, so that now means that Vic Covey is the new leader of the race. Sorry, Alex.
That's fair enough. We've also had Mark Cuthbert having an off-track excursion in the number 2, down to P31. But look at this battle behind Vic Covey being led by Kieran Smart, and that's got Rory Bryant, Sam Corson, Jack Eyre in there too. And this is a great scrap. You've got one BMW leading a trio of Porsche Caymans.
So on the nose cam of Jack Eyre in that 5th place, and what a battle this is. As a driver, Alex, this is so much fun to be a part of, and this is what makes the 30 minutes just absolutely fly by.
Well, it does for us in the commentary box as well, I must be completely honest. But to see these kind of angles... Oh, a little bit of a love tap there by Eyre on the back bumper, of course, and going through... Atwood curve there, so that's going to be... that was a bit of Rubbings racing, but I think that might have been a bit more than just a love tap, because that's allowed Corson to be unsettled, and Eyre, they are teammates at Rethink Racing, and there goes Eyre up the inside to take P4. So I think there's 6 or 7 Rethink Racing cars out here at Okayama, and there's Cameron Ritchie. He had a bit of an issue earlier on in the race as well. That very resplendent plain white car with the Scottish Soul tyre. Looks like the left front is not tracking true there on the BMW. Oh, yeah, thank God he pressed escape and
went back to the pit lane. Yeah, absolutely.
On the racing line.
We've both seen too many times where something terrible has happened because of that. So Cameron Ritchie into the pits there. But let's have a look at your race leader then, Vic Covey. 2.5 seconds. That is looking mighty comfortable for him. And I bet Rory Bryant is kicking himself after the last race there. He seemed to have the upper hand, but not so much in this one. I wonder if Kieran Smart is acting as a bit of a cork in a bottle. Meanwhile, David Simon. Oh, there's contact there between Ronald Grossman and David Simon. The two of them off at turn 1, and they are going to be absolutely furious with each other. Each of them is going to be blaming the other one, but it looked to be the car that was up the inside. I think that was Ronald Grossman. We will check on that.
That was Grossman up the inside, went for the move on Simon and clattered into the right-hand side through the corner. And then Gronkowski was there waiting in the wings to get past and managed to capitalise. Hopley went through too. But look at the gap now that Kieran Smart has got on Jack Eyre, as it looks like Rory Bryant is being swallowed up by the Rethink Racing posse here in what is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th position. Yeah, here's the ham in the Rethink Racing sandwich, and that is not a nice place to be right now. Further down the field, we've got action going on between David Simon, Neil Ferrier and Gary Brown. It looks to me that David Simon has just got past Neil Ferrier for that 15th position there. So again, we've been pointing this out all the way through the race. Some brilliant battles. Who is that? Stephen Graham tries to hold it. Can he go and keep it in, son? There we go. Well done. That is it. Stephen Graham loses 2 places, but that is the mother of all tank slappers that he has had on the back straight there. So Stephen Graham loses 2 places, goes down to 22nd place there. But amazing action there. It just shows you, and it's an absolute credit, because again, I've tried to say this all through the broadcast, just how difficult, Alex, these GT4 cars are to control. Well, I mean, Stephen Graham, who's racing, I think, if you looked at DTM cars in previous years, the pinkest car was the Lucas Auer and Edo Mortara BWT Mercedes in DTM a couple of years before Mercedes left, but then also the Pink Pig livery that was brought back by Porsche on the 911 GT3. That's the pinkest car I've ever seen in a GT3 or GT4 class, but well held, I must say.
Now, I'm going to make an observation here. It is starting to get a little bit darker here, which will mean that it is getting cooler on the track here at Okayama Circuit. As we see a move up the inside there, no contact, thankfully, between, I think that was Rory Bryant and Jack Ayre on the move there. But that gap now from Vic Covey was 3.5 seconds. It's now down to 2.4. So I'm wondering if Vic Covey's pace is starting to fall off a little bit, and that's bringing Kieran Smart back into play.
Yeah, I think that really depends on how quickly you push the tyres. As now, what's happened here?
That was a back marker, I think, has got caught up in that.
Is that Blair McConaughey, possibly? Because Blair seems to try not get into the way, and inadvertently gets in the way by no fault of Blair's own fault, just trying to manage the traffic situation. Because when they're running, I mean, Blair McConaughey's done a best lap of 1 minute 41, and when you're looking at Kieran Smart, who's running on a 1:37, that's quite a comparison in lap time, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, it certainly is. Brilliant little battle still going on here between Tom Jones and Anil Singh for 20th and 21st place. Tom Jones and Anil have been duking it out over the past couple of laps. We've got a huge crash going on. Gary Brown is into the wall, and I'm going to try and find him on the screen here. And there we go, the Porsche, the other Rethink Racing of Gary Brown, recovers on the last corner there. Very easy to do. The car unsettles on that right-hander. There's a tiny lip of the curb, and if you hit it and the car is unstable, there we go, another car off into the gravel there. That is Peter Moore, who goes way off into the kitty litter.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when you go through Mike Knight corner and then go into last corner, the curb on the inside can be quite detrimental. And if you actually take too much curb, as someone else goes very wide there, gets a bit of a tank slapper, and that was behind Kieran Smart.
That's Jack Ayre.
Yeah, Jack Ayre's lost it. So Rory Bryant trying to go up the inside for the next corner, gets the inside run, gets the position. But Jack Ayre trying to keep it around the outside of it, but that was very, very close. Nicely timed by Rory Bryant to capitalise on Jack Ayre's mistake. And Sam Corson looking up the inside of his teammates at Rethink Racing. Not quite yet is the answer from Jack Ayre.
From the looks of it, though, these Rethink Racing guys, they are teammates in name, but I can imagine on the racetrack it's a very, very different thing, because they're all very, very fast individuals indeed. So, a completely different race. This has been an absolute stormer, a very, very different race to race one, partly because we can keep track of it a lot better, but all the way through you've got these wonderful, wonderful little battles going on. As we see, Michael Weddle is back out on track and is actually making his way around, so he's going to be trying to get up some points potentially. There's still another 16 minutes left to go, so goodness knows what could happen in all of that time. But Rory Bryant already has been gobbled back up by Jack Ayre. The three of them are now just 0.7 of a second between them, and let's have a look at that rear chase camera of Rory Bryant. You can see just how close the three of them are, and we'll actually go on board with Sam Corson down in 5th place. And if you're Sam, can you stay patient? For me as a driver, I want to try and fire it up the inside and make my move.
It's very much a case of 1 of one and 500 of the other. But what Sam's doing here is, as he's seeing that Rory and Jack are battling away for P3, he's got the ringside seat, and he'll have this feeling in the back of his mind saying, I've got an opportunity, because if Jack takes out Rory, I can go for P3. And it means that he has less work to do. So the more patient you can be, the more you'll see things unfold in front of you. And that's what a good driver will do. They'll measure the situation, they'll calculate it in their mind and go, is it worth me going for it? Because you look on the left-hand side of the screen, David, and the gap between Rory and Sam is just over 1.1 seconds as they cross the line once again. Yeah, but
I'm also noticing that gap at Kieran Smart. The top BMW, we haven't seen a BMW that high so far in the championship. 2nd place for Kieran Smart, but I wonder if those tyres are starting to go off for him, because he has lost about half a second on that last lap alone. The gap now just 0.5 of a second between the top 3 cars.
Yeah, I think it's very much a case he's going to try and conserve the tyres. That's what he's got to do now, because the BMW has got, as I said earlier on, a 4.5% deficit in terms of power to weight ratio. It's a heavier car. It's 80 kilos heavier in terms of the real-time specification. So the Porsche's going to have a bit more purchase on the rear end because it's got the weight of the engine, plus also the gearbox behind it. But then the BMW is a completely different layout. It's front-engined, rear drive. So you've got to work with what you've got. And with Kieran Smart, he's playing it very, very wisely here at the moment. He's not... You can tell by his driving style. You look at Rory and Jack, they're battling between each other, and they're taking the life out of the tyres quicker than what Kieran is doing. So Kieran... He might be coming up to some back markers now, but the way that the three behind are trying to battle with him as...
we can't there because Michael Weddle crashed again, unfortunately, as we see. You were saying.
Yeah, you can now see that they're closing up. They're going to try and sort of muscle their way past him, but the one thing that Kieran Smart has got for him now is that they're coming onto back markers. Okay, Rory Bryant's going to try and send it up the inside. Can't do it. Kieran runs wide, and it's going to be three abreast of Rory. No, that's Jack Air. That's not good. But look at Smart. He's keeping it on the inside line. He's taking the racing line, and that's keeping Brian out wide. That's allowing Corson now to come into the mix. 2 by 2, hurrah, they go through the Moss S's, and still, Kieran Smart is up ahead. Very good tactical driving from the BMW driver.
What a move from Jack here, though, up the inside to possibly try and take 2 positions. He only takes 1, though, Alex. Sorry to jump in there, but an amazing move. And it looks like Rory Bryant tries to get him around the outside, powers it through. It's going to be a drag race down in towards the right-hander. They're almost bumper to bumper, and it's going to be Jack here, surely, that takes the inside line.
It is, but look at the defensive masterclass we're seeing from Kieran Smart. Oh, Bryant sends it up the inside of Air, who runs wide. Here comes Corson. He's probably going to try and send it up the inside of Bryant. Can't make it through. But look at how Smart has been driving. That's very, very clever. He's kept his nose clean. He's not made mistakes, whilst everyone's battling over the scraps on the table behind him.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful defensive masterclass. And you can see now he's started to get a bit of a gap there, 1 second already, just by doing exactly what you were saying there, Alex. So fantastic to see that. Meanwhile, further down the order there, Sam Harper just ahead of Peter Butcher there. That is for 7th and 8th place. We've got a great fight here between Lewis Ward and the recovery drive of Ronald Grossman. He was all the way down into 20th, so that has been a stunning recovery drive from Ronald Grossman, and again it is all about those points. The rest of the cars are fairly well split up just now, but we'll go back to Scott Smith, who is just 1.5 seconds, in fact to make that 2 seconds ahead of Tom Jones in the position in 19th there. And that is pretty much it, because all of the other drivers are all involved in their own little battles. But look at that, John Gronkowski holding off against Martin Buchan for 10th place there. And again, the points are so important for the rest of the championship.
Very, very much the case, because when we get onto our first single race of the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship, you know, when we go to the 60-minute races, it's double the points, but it's a 1 hour race. I mean, look at the performances from some of the Missed Apex crew. Sam Harper in P7, Ian Erasmus in P12. The South African doing a great job in comparison to the absolute nightmare I think he had in the first race. But look, again, you can just see Bryant and Corson battling away. They dropped Jack Air, who must have had a bit of a moment, but Kieran Smart keeping his nose clean in the highest placed BMW M4 GT4, and that's a really, really good sign of what's to come if you can conserve the tyres. So I've got a real good feeling as we head into the final third of the race meeting here at Okayama, David, that he's done a really good job to keep things very clean, and he's not over driving the car. Whereas you're looking at Rory, you're looking at Sam, you're looking at Jack, they're battling in between each other. So it's a 3-way Porsche scrap for the final step on the rostrum. Yeah, but
the thing with that, Alex, is though that even when they're battling, even when they're fighting, Kieran Smart is doing 137.47s, and Rory Bryant and Sam Corson 137.19 and 137.24. So even when they're scrapping, even when they're battling, they're still faster, which is why the pair of them are able to catch up to him so quickly. So, you know, surely this is going to come to a head in the next 9 minutes. We'll keep our eyes peeled to see on that one, to see how that is.
It might not even be that, David, because look how close Rory got to the back bumper of Kieran coming through Atwood. That was very close indeed. We're on board with Kieran on the run down to hairpin, and there's Rory. in the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Kieran's going to try and close the door, which he does. Great move from the BMW driver, but he runs wide. This allows him to get the run to switch it right into the left at Revolver, into the left at Piper. Great aerial shot there that we've got, seeing the battle for what is effectively second position. And you can just see how much closer Sam Corson is to Rory Bryant. He's about 0.3 of a second adrift as they go up the incline through Redmond, into the right at Hobbs. And again,
contact! Contact there from Rory Bryant.
So, yeah, it was only a matter of time before there was a gap that was not going to be there. And Rory, I think, didn't really have... He either had no choice, but that's now dropped Kieran Smart way down out of the top 10. He's managed to get going again, but it's a real shame for the 39.
I think there's going to be heavy contact for him because he crashed into Ian Erasmus on the recovery there, so that's a huge moment. I can imagine that there's going to be some inquiries into that performance there, but your race leader with 8 minutes left to go, Vic Covey of Minimax Motorsport, 4.5 seconds now. That battle has allowed him to absolutely streak off into the distance here, but it's hard to take your eyes off of this battle here because this is just bubbling over very, very nicely, and it's going to come to a boil within the next 5 minutes.
Well, I think Mount Fuji is about to explode, and even though that's a few hundred kilometres away from the track here in Okayama, there is something bubbling beneath the surface, and it involves Bryant, Corson. Here comes Air. He's got the run on his Rethink Racing teammate, but not going into the hairpin there.
Now let me have a look, because one person we haven't spoken about there is Sam Harper or Peter Butcher. Now the cars in front of him, 137.19, 137.24, 137.47. Sam Harper, that last lap round, 137.07. So keep an eye out for Sam Harper. He could be joining into that party and making it a 4-car battle very, very soon.
Yeah, I mean, good to see that Adam Brown in the now highest place BMW. He's made it up from 17th to 5th place in the number 16. Driver with the also one of the drivers that has gone with the Rethink Racing BMW this time. We did have a chat with you had a chat with Michael about that the fact that he decided to go with the BMW to test it and then went to the Porsche and went, it's an absolute tank in comparison. I don't get on with it. Well, that words to that effect.
Yes, words to that effect were the thing. I think I've only had experience personally with the Porsche, both in this sim and in I think it was it R Factor 2 or Assetto Corsa. Either way, it's a very, very heavy Luddite of a car. You really have to throw it into the corners to get any sort of reaction from it, and you really have to plan your moves and plan your attacks very, very well to get the most out of it.
Yeah, keep an eye on Sam Harper in the 52 for Missed Apex. He is closing on Adam Brown. He is closing. That's a really good amount of work from the
we're holding our breath here because I see him disappearing, and his it looks like his internet connectivity has dropped out here. So have
you're kidding.
I think that's what's happened here. We'll find out in just a second. Has he come back?
We'll just keep an eye out just to see if that changes, because it can happen.
Yeah.
But you know, he's been doing a really standout drive in this race. But Adam Brown will now have Peter Butcher closing in on him. And then you've got Andrew Hopley, who is, I think, about to be... Yep, that's Gronkowski that's got past the BMW there. And look, just behind there's Martin Buchan as well. Buchan's up the inside of the BMW too. But now the BMW has the inside run coming into the corner. So Mr. Two Thumbs Up, Andrew Hopley from Meraki Racing. I think that's what we're going to nickname him now, Mr. Two Thumbs Up.
It's a brilliant picture. I absolutely love that.
It's brilliant. The 2 thumbs up moniker definitely works. So, a bit of a tank slapper there for Martin Buchan trying to go through the final corner. He looked up the inside of the BMW of Hopley, but unfortunately, not close enough.
Yeah, it wasn't to be. So 5 minutes left to go in heat number 2 of round 1 of the SMRC eSports Racing Championship, and we have got an absolutely cracking finish going on. This is the battle for second place in. It's going to be Rory Bryant just ahead of Jack Hare, but Sam Corson fires it up the inside, and it is a 3-car dogfight. That is the only word you can use right now for this battle that is going on. Rory Bryant at the head of this battle. Sam Corson and Jack Hare are teammates, of course, but look, as you have pointed out, Alex, Alex, look at Adam Brown. He is closing on this group right now. And is Sam Corson going to fire it up the inside? No, they're going to go side by side with his teammate as Jack Hare tries to go around the outside, compromises Jack Hare, and that means that Adam Brown is just seconds away from taking 4th place.
He was actually nearly half a second. He was nearly half a second quicker. Was Adam Brown on that last lap? As we're now on to lap number 16 here at Okayama. So we should have about another 2 or 3 laps by my reckoning, as Vic Covey's about to complete the 16th lap of the race in about 20 or so seconds time. But this is a great battle here, and it's quite funny that you've got Rory Bryant, then you've got 3 Rethink Racing teammates. And one of the biggest rules in racing is you can race your teammates, don't take them out. Never take out your teammate.
It's funny how often that goes wrong, isn't it, Alex?
It's like a storm in a teacup. It always goes wrong. And there's the flash of the lights there. Now, is that to let that...
That was a back marker there, and I think just came straight onto the path there of Adam Brown. It has cost him dearly. And who was that? That was one of the BMWs quite far down.
Mark Cuthbert in the 2 in 24th place, just rejoining.
John Gronkowski has had a monstrous crash in the Porsche. There is very little left of that Angel Wax sponsored Porsche. He recovers. He was in 12th place. He's going to lose that surely to Ian Erasmus. But wow, that is a monstrous moment there. Lost the back wing on that car, Alex, and yeah, that is a tragic end to his race tonight.
Yeah, not looking a little bit second-hand as the Porsche 718 Cayman there. But he still kept it ahead. There's Rory Bryant, still battling tooth and nail with the Rethink Racing duo of Corson and Air. Corson in 3rd, Air in 4th, Brown. Could make it 3 Rethink Racing cars in the top 5 here at Okayama. And Vic Covey is about to start, I think, what is going to be the penultimate lap very, very shortly.
Rory Bryant is really struggling with the tyres and the performance of this car right now. You can see Sam Corson, Jack Hare. Could be a setup issue. It could be that Jack Hare and Sam Corson have got a better longevity on these cars than the setup that Rory Bryant has got at the moment, but we're going to find out because we have just got 2.5 minutes left to go. 2 minutes make that left in this final race. Vic Covey for Minimax Motorsport with an absolute masterclass right now from Rory Bryant, 6.5 seconds behind. But have a look at Sam Corson. Sam Corson right on the bumper, and these 2 cars have broken away from Adam Brown and Peter Butcher. They are in 5th and 6th place. I don't know what is going to happen here, Alex. Anything can happen. The sky is getting very, very dark here in Japan. Very dark at Okayama.
Very much the case. And Bryant is struggling. Covey streaking away like the cat that has got the cream. Corson and Air, I think, could strike. But look how close Peter Butcher is to his teammate Adam Brown. And Adam is the highest place BMW. Then it's Mr. Two Thumbs, Andrew Hopley in 7th. Martin Buchan in 8th. Lewis Ward in 9th. David Simon in 10th ahead of Ronald Korsman and Jordan Gronkowski, with Ian Erasmus, Kieran Smart and Neil Ferrier in running at the top 15 positions. And what a race so far. We're about to go on to the penultimate lap here at Okayama to complete the racing action for the first round of the 2020 Scottish Motor Racing Club eSports iRacing Summer Championship here in Japan. And Covey has taken a leaf out of the playbook of Fraser Williamson as he's going to go onto the final corner to complete lap number 18.
Yeah, he's needed absolutely no invitation to make this one stick. And in fact, is that Fraser Williamson that he's passing? Wow, what a turn of fate. Fraser Williamson, your race winner, your runaway race winner from race 1, now lapped in the second race by Vic Covey, your very likely winner of this race, you have to say, as he makes his way around the circuit. I want to distract myself very, very slightly and just keep an eye on this battle for second place, because I don't think this is over by any means of the imagination. Rory Bryant now just 0.2 of a second ahead of Sam Corson. Jack Hare must be licking his lips and potentially getting a podium out of this. He knows that these two are going to try and fight tooth and nail on this final lap, Alex.
Yeah, as Vic Covey is halfway through the final lap of the race, the timer has now expired. We are now expired on 30 minutes here at Okayama. That is it. But yeah, this mouth-watering, tasty battle for second, third and fourth, the final two steps on the rostrum. But also it'll help for their championship title aspirations heading into Spa-Francorchamps in just 2 weeks' time when we go for another double 30. But very shortly, I think we need to head back to our leader. There he is, Vic Covey in the number 7. Doing a great job.
A few corners left to go then. The right-hander here, he's got 2 corners left to go after this one. Around the entrance to pit straight and then on to the final corner. It's been a stunning performance for the Minimax Motorsport driver Vic Covey. We've seen him absolutely dominate in real life racing, but he's going to come across the line. It's a brilliant race 2 win for Vic Covey. Second place is going to go to Rory Bryant. Third place is going to go to Sam Corson. Jack Hare finishes in 4th place. What a battle we had with them. We're going to see Adam Brown finish just ahead of Peter Butcher, and then it is Andrew Hopley in 7th place. Great fight towards the end there. Martin Buchan in 8th place. 9th place is going to be Lewis Ward and David Simon in 10th place. We've still got cars finishing just now. David Simon and Ronald Grossman. Ronald Grossman in that recovery drive, you've got to say, has been absolutely stunning. But we have got a very important question, Alex. We have now got to decide your Torque Racewear driver of the day. For you, who stood out for you?
If I'm honest, there are a couple of drivers that have really caught my eye. I mean, Fraser Williamson, standout performance in race 1. Vic Covey, race 2. I'm going to have to give it to one of the missed Apex drivers, if I'm honest with you. And there are 4 to choose from. And until his unfortunate issues, he finished 11th, I think, in race 1. He didn't finish race 2, but I'm going to give my Talk Driver of the vote to Sam Harper in the 52 in the Porsche. He was running as high as P6 in this race, let's not forget.
Yeah, that's a very good choice. Sam was a very consistent driver. We saw in race 1 coming a cropper into race 2, and a very strong performance and very worthy winner. So I will go and take note of that. But in the meantime, let's go and have a look at the results then from your race here at Okayama, and what a win that was. Let's actually get the proper results up, not the qualifying results. There we go. Right, Vic Covey takes the win then from Rory Bryant. We will hide the points till we get them all calculated up. So Rory Bryant in 2nd place. We've then got in 3rd place is Sam Corson from Jack Hare, Adam Brown, and then Peter Butcher. It was Andrew Hopley in 7th place. 8th place was Martin Buchan, Lewis Ward in 9th place, and David Simon in 10th. Alex, if you want to take the rest of the order, I'll go and see if we've got any drivers to interview.
Definitely. In 11th place, Ronald Grossman ahead of Jordan Gronkowski, who lost his rear wing in the tail end of the race here. Ian Erasmus from Missed Apex rounded out the top 13 ahead of Kieran Smart, who is up into 2nd place for the majority of this race after a little bit of contact, wondering whether that might be investigated post-race. He's finished in P14 ahead of Neil Ferrier. Tom Jones, Scott Smith and Jeff Wentworth complete the top 18. We'll have a look at the second half of the grid. Anil Singh in 19th ahead of Gary Brown, John Lang. Then we've also got Jacqueline Chalmers, Grant Angus, Mark Cuthbert, Sean Doby, Peter Moore, Sam Harper, who ended up 27th after what was a bit of a shame for him in that race, despite being as high as P6. Fraser Williamson rounded out the top 28. And then rounding out the 36 strong, we've got Stephen Graham, Blair McConaughey, Cameron Ritchie, Sam Spinell, Michael Weddle, Raymond Davies, Chris Knox and Logan Hanna rounding out the 36 strong. And that completes our double 30 race here, evening for the SMRC eSports iRacing Summer Championship here at Okayama International Circuit.
Yep.
Back to you, David.
Thank you very much, Alex Goldschmidt, and what a race we've had. So we are about to get a couple of driver interviews on the go. We will hide the information just now, and we'll go and do some race interviews. Right, so in the waiting room we have got winner of race number 1. It is none other than Fraser Williamson. Fraser, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on race 1. What happens in race 2?
Carnage. That's the only way to say it. It just death with slightly more death and cars everywhere. It was horrific.
So we saw that on the stream. Obviously, it was a very, very difficult start, and it all started to go wrong very, very quickly. How did you keep yourself going through that?
Pretty much I didn't. My car was dead. I had to take 15 minutes of repairs, but people tried to jump to the start, and the usual response to people jumping to the start is there's a crash, and that's what happened. So I shall not complain.
Fraser, I'm getting the distinct impression, I'm not a vocal expert here, but I'm getting the impression you're quite peeved off after that race.
Just a little. Well, you know how competitive I am after the last SMRC event that we had together up at Knockhill. So to have that happen is a bit annoying, but to know that I've got the pace, at least in race 1, if I can repeat that throughout the season and survive race 2, should be in good shape.
And tell us, it's just me, you, and the couple of hundred watching on stream. Are you going to be having a little visit into the virtual steward's office later on?
If I wasn't, I'd be very stupid.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us, Fraser Williamson. We'll throw you back into the waiting room. Alex, I'm going to apologise to you, buddy, because what we actually discussed pre going on air was that poor Alex Goldschmidt was going to do the driver interviews.
Look,
barreling in.
It's fair game in the commentary box. I don't really care. The thing is, I've been really impressed with the way that you have been doing such a great job, and it's a pleasure to be on board with the iRacing side of things. And the fact is that this is a new step forward for the SMRC and eSports, and obviously with everyone that's been involved behind the scenes, yourself and everyone else, and to become a part of it has been a real privilege and an honour for me personally, because I get to commentate on more drivers. And we've had a lot of discussions behind the scenes that when I said that I've been converted to eSports, this is one of those validations that really, really cements that, and I'm really, really pleased about it as well.
We're absolutely delighted to have you on board. I'll go and bring in another guest, and you can have a little chat.
I think I'd like to speak to Jack Air, to be honest with you. Let's see if we can get Jack in.
Your wish is my command.
There we go. So we welcome Jack Air, finishing 4th in that race. Jack, brilliant battle between you, Rory, and Sam. Just from your perspective, it was all guns blazing, the three of you, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of tyres in this race. Race 1, not so much. Kind of scrubbed them all up a bit and struggled with the temperature and a bit of toe damage in race 1, so I kind of dropped off there. But in race 2, no, a lot more confident. And I felt, to be fair, if I could get past the guys ahead, I had the pace to catch Vic up because I could see the gaps coming down. I was conscious there was 15 minutes of the race left, and I'm taking about 0.4 of him away a lap. So I thought I might just be able to do this, but just nowhere to go really. Tried everything.
Yeah, I mean, Rory seemed to struggle, which is something that both myself and David picked up on in the latter stages of the race, but just to see how much he was able to keep both yourself and Sam at bay. And when you think that Sam is your teammate at Rethink Racing, it is one thing to race your teammate, but then there would have been some stern words between the pair of you if either of you had taken each other out, wouldn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just trying to drive around people at this point, really. But yeah, no, the temperature's the big issue in these, in the Cayman. Well, the BMW is more so affected by temperature. The tyre wear, not so much, but if you can't keep the rear temperature down, you'll be sideways out of every corner. And when the traction control kicks in, you just lose all power. So yeah, just trying to manage those tyres. I dropped back for a few laps and actually caught the grass into turn number 2, and I was sideways quite a bit, to be fair. So no, after that, just kind of regroup and trying to keep the tyres under control and have another go before the race was over, but just ran out of laps, I guess.
Well, very well done tonight, Jack, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at Spa-Francorchamps.
Thank you very much. Take care. Cheers.
Right, David, I think next interview up to you, sir. If I can hear him.
Yep. It's trying to unmute myself from... I tend to breathe quite heavily on the mic. Right, let's hear from one of my good friends, Scott Smith, because I used to work alongside him up at Knockhill, and he's a good regular at the SMRC eSports event, so we'll bring Scott into the conversation. Scott, good evening. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
It's great to see your name. I'm very, very well. How did you find that?
Entertaining. It was fun. Yeah.
a big difference from last time out in the Legends, isn't it?
Yeah, I prefer the Legends. The
How
BMW
can you say
being
that? How can you say that, Scott?
just not having enough seat time in the BMW, if it been new to the series and not been any setups and things available. So I've kind of had to custom build setups for it for this specific series. So it's been a lot of work, but not a lot of seat time in doing it.
And
So-
you've had a brilliant performance tonight. You've had a good, solid finish, especially in the second race there, 17th place. You were involved in a cracking battle there with Jeff Wentworth behind you. What was it like through those two races?
Yeah, the races were absolutely brilliant, full of action from the start, as I'm sure you've all seen. Wee bit of carnage the first lap, but once we got through that, it was elbows out. I didn't expect it to be that aggressive, I will say, but yeah, now we know what I'm going into for round 2, so look forward to Spa. Spa's a track I got on with, so we'll just see what comes of it. I would have liked to have been into the points. Unfortunately, I did get collected twice in 2 races, but that's racing. So next time I'll go quicker and make more places and get into the points.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that next time, Scott. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time at Spa. Right, Alex, it's your turn. Who would you like to speak to?
Let's have a chat with the number 91 of Neil Ferrier, I think, who did a really good job in this race. Neil.
Hello.
Evening, Neil. How are you?
No bad yourselves?
Yeah, not too bad. Really good race for you in race 2, making up 21 positions from last on the grid up to P15 at the end, amidst all the carnage at the start. Just give us a perspective of what happened, because I think I saw at least 5 abreast going across the start-finish line heading into turn 1 when we went green just over half an hour ago.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was. I was like, I'll drop off at the start and try and get a run on the guys in front. And then I seen everybody checking up, and I was like, "Oh no, what's going on here?" And then the car was just carnage in front. And luckily enough, I managed to get through it. And thank God that Mikey Weddle he just ghosted because I just went straight through him. So yeah, and then lap 2, all the carnage happened again, and I was like, "Here we go." But I really enjoyed that. This is my first proper event organised by the SMRC on either iRacing or console. So yeah, it's good to be party, and I'm looking forward to round 2.
Yeah, Spa-Francorchamps, a hell of a different track from what we're going to have. A track that is 7 kilometres in length, such corners as Eau Rouge, Radion, Pouan and the bus stop chicane. I mean, that's going to be one that's really going to test the driver's mettle, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, especially in these GT4 cars. Well, I'm driving the BMW, so I prefer the BMW to the Porsche now, because I think I can dance on the edge with the BMW over the Porsche. So I think my driving style and the way I drive should kind of suit Spa a wee bit better. And obviously we'll fine tune the setup for Spa, but it's going to be the bus stop chicanes one that's got to look out for. Turn 1's got to be a bit of a hairy thing at the start, and then up through Radion and stuff. So yeah, it's got to be an exciting one for round 2, that's for sure.
Definitely, I couldn't agree with you more there. But Neil, thank you very much for taking part tonight. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time at Spa. Right, David, your turn.
Well, I've been just busy on the stream, just getting the old replay of that start. Let's have a look at that, Alex. It's absolutely monstrous. They're like 6 cars wide.
Yeah, I know. I did say it was nearly 5 abreast there. Chris Knox actually was the one that was into the side of Fraser Williamson on the start, I noticed. Yeah. And then the 16 of... there was a number 16 BMW. That's a Rethink Racing car that looks like the right rear is cambering inwards. Well, it's got so much toe in, you couldn't get it further up the wheel arch if you tried.
Yeah. Right, I've got an idea. Let's have a word with our Torque Racewear driver of the day. Sam Harper is in chat with us. Sam, welcome to the chat. Congratulations, we chose you as the Torque Racewear driver of the day. A very, very strong performance in both races. How are you, and how much fun was that?
That was stressful. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Annoying, my computer crashed with 5 minutes to go when I was doing all right, but don't know. It's got to happen eventually, and I got a pair of gloves out of it, so I don't really care.
Pair of gloves? No, did nobody tell you?
No.
It's a box of toilet roll, mate. That's what the prize is.
Toilet roll? Oh, brilliant! Even better.
No, so a pair of gloves are winging their way to you. But yeah, talk us through that couple of races there, because it was a very, very different kettle of fish from race 1, where it was everybody kind of just sort of feeling each other out and seeing how it would go, and then race 2, all hell broke loose.
Yeah, so race 1, I had a bit of a disaster because most of the hell broke loose around me, what little hell there was. But race 2, I think it was whoever was starting second jumped the start, hit the brakes, and then got going again. But by that point, everybody had all smashed into each other. But I got lucky, missed all of it, and did a 0 mile an hour accident avoidance a bit later on in the race. So it was looking all right. I don't think I had any damage. But yeah, I don't know. It was hard. These guys are quick.
Spa coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Are you looking forward to that?
Yes, greatly. I like Spa a lot. I'm not massive on it in iRacing, but I'll come round on it.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that. More performances like that, please, Mr. Sam Harper, and we will see you next time. We'll speed things up. Alex, we'll get the last couple through here. Who have we not spoken to so far?
Sam Corson we haven't spoke to, finished on the final step on the rostrum. He was in that battle with Rory and Jack, so I think a quick chat with him.
Yep, let's fix that up. There you go.
Well, Sam, a very many congratulations on your 3rd place on the podium here for race 2 at Okayama. Very good battle between yourself, Jack, and Rory in some respects, and obviously Kieran Smart in the earlier part of the race. Just tell us how it went from your perspective, because you tried to get the upper hand on Rory in the latter stages, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he just got his tyres a bit warm towards the end, and he kind of ran wide a few times, but luckily he was able to make his car just so wide and so difficult to get past. He could hold the space, so fair play to him, good defending. So yeah, it was a good race, I'd say. Pretty fun.
But also looking back at the race when Kieran was actually ahead of everybody, leading the way in the BMW, how surprised were you of how calm and composed Kieran was able to keep the car, even though he was running wide at some points to get the cut back into the corners? So he was using a very different racing line, but trying to conserve the tyres, I believe, on the BMW.
Yeah, the BMW's tyres really do heat up at the front, especially really quickly. So he was probably just trying to keep them cool. He was racing his own race, keeping himself smooth, not trying to make any massive mistakes. He was just kind of doing the best he could, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, many congratulations on your podium here in Okayama, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time at Spa, Sam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Well, I think, David, do you want to... I'll leave the last couple of interviews down to you, mate, because I think we need to wrap things up, don't we?
Yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes left to go, so we'll make Peter Butcher... In fact, we'll do both. We'll bring them both in at the same time. Peter Butcher, Tom Jones... Your private chat is over. Good evening, boys. Well done on the races, Peter. I'll chat to you first. Brilliant second race there, 6th place. There must have been at one point towards the end there where you thought you and Adam were going to catch up to that group of 3 cars of Rory Bryant, Sam Corson, and Jack Eyre.
Yeah, definitely. I just couldn't get past the big BM of Adam, unfortunately. I just ran out of laps and I had a load of aero damage from avoiding the incident at the start.
How did you manage to navigate the minefield that was the race start?
By crashing into the pit lane deliberately, pretty much.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that worked out for you. Well, it obviously did work out, because 6th place, that was a really good comeback drive. We saw many incidents towards the drivers at the end. Tom, how was that race for you? Tom's gone silent. There we go.
It was pretty good. It was good recovery drive in a sense. Didn't have the best first race, but the second race starting from the back was a bit. It was a bit scary to start with. Got going, and after the first 3 laps, I settled into my rhythm and I started to make back the positions, which was really nice.
So, are you guys looking forward to Spa-Francorchamps?
Absolutely. Interested to see how fast the BMs are there. obviously Adam able to keep his tyres alive until the dying moments, and who knows, he might have had a shot at the podium if it had been a track that suited that car more.
I am as well. I love Spa as a track, and I just can't wait to drive it next.
Excellent, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the chat. That is all we have time for tonight. Thank you to all the drivers that joined us this evening. Just a very quick answer to Scott Smith. Stream will be up within 5-10 minutes of us ending the stream. Alex Goldschmidt, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You have been an absolute godsend, buddy. It has been so much fun sharing this with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, David, and a big thank you to everyone watching tonight. It has been a bit of an eye-opener in what happens in SMRC, and I cannot wait until we go to the Ardennes Forest to Spa-Francorchamps for the double 30 in just 2 weeks, and then the rest of the calendar, I think it's just going to fly by with absolutely fantastic action, David.
Yep, looking forward to it. We will have a points update on the website very, very soon, but from both myself, David Christie, and from co-commentator Alex Goldschmidt, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight. This has been round 1 of the SMRC Esports Racing Summer Championship. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for Spa.